Ding ding. Hey everybody. Welcome to the Game Gallery, and I'm Solar Gray, your cinematic sorcerer, here with...
Oh, I'm the Duggernaut.
Yeah,
Sorry.
hey. Yeah, so today we're having a few technical difficulties.
Yeah, I see that.
I mean, it's a thing, it's fine, but, you know, it was either... I pushed the show back until 12:15 to give you time to get here, given what not good at stuff went through yesterday. And I'm like, you know what, we'll call it 12:15. It's Sunday. People are probably a little tipsy from mimosas, so they probably think it's 11:30 anyway. And
what happened to poor not even good at stuff yesterday?
Oh man, yesterday he was coming down, and people on the freeway were driving like they were offended at his presence. So yeah, people trying to take him down and freaking not letting him lane split and slowing down. So he was.
I don't know what it is about bikes, man. Like on the way here just this morning, there was probably 20 or so bikes, you know, like a biker gang wearing, you know, matching jackets and all that just you know, like while traffic's going, weaving in and out between cars until they were able to take over both lanes, slow down all of traffic for a while, and then switch around, do it on the other side of the road as well, and just drove back off again going down 7th Street.
Well,
that was just
it's called kind of revenge. Kind of revenge, yeah. Funny thing about California law, and remember, I'm a biker, so I know what I'm talking about on this.
Right.
For a while, like until about 2002, most motorcycles didn't have a radiator. They were air cooled because the engine is outside, so you know it's not in a box behind a firewall, and that's why lane splitting became a thing in California. Because if a motorcycle has to stop and wait in traffic with everyone else, they overheat and seize their 2-cylinder engine, and then they're not somebody in a broke down car. They are a pedestrian with a 400-pound paperweight on the freeway. So lane splitting and carpool laning, anything to keep the bikes in motion. People in cars, SUVs, and minivans don't like that. They go, oh, you surprised me, so I'm gonna have to, and so they maneuvered to take away like that last 3 inches that we need so that we can't lane split because they're looking out for our safety. Or they'll slow down in front of us, and this is like on a daily basis. And you know, I ride a motorcycle every day. Every single day. That's
how you get around. That's from, you know, going to the store to going to the game shop to everywhere.
To going to pay my bills. And yeah, so I ride all the time, and people are looking at me like, oh, he thinks he's so hard. And part of that is because of something that you and I talk about quite often. W privilege. No, seriously.
No, it's true.
The law in California has stated, and this is a consequence of white privilege, that motorcycles as of themselves are luxury vehicles. Because most people that live where you used to live only got motorcycles to go, yeah, look, I'm just cruising, blah, blah, blah. Look at my $30,000 Harley.
The motorcycle is not the form of transportation. The motorcycle is a hobby. The motorcycle is, you know, you got your car to go to work, and then on the weekends you ride your bike around. And that's great if you're making $85,000, $100,000, $130,000 a year. So my $1,300 Honda is labeled in the same category as someone's $45,000 Harley is. Yeah, look at that, it's a luxury thing. I'm like, dude, this thing costs less than your car. Matter of fact, this thing costs less than your Lance transmission job. This is all I can afford. So stop telling me that I'm rich, you know? Your motorcycle is closer to a bicycle than it is to a Harley in some respects, you know?
Only in price.
Well, in price, but also in functionality. Better put some spec on that. I'm saying, so in functionality, you know, your average Harley user is, again, probably, don't get me wrong, there's plenty that use it as their primary form of transportation. They're real into it. But let's be honest with ourselves. It's kind of a vanity bike for a lot of people.
I wouldn't go that far. I ride a Honda, but brands mean everything. You say Honda, everybody knows, oh, Honda. You know, which means, oh my God, oh, we're on somebody's TV. Hello.
Oh yeah, that's Camo Heart there.
Oh, okay.
She was excited to join us and actually be in the chat today. So,
awesome. Yeah, very cool. Well, hello, Ms. Remy Finch. We'll be saying hi to the whole chat as soon as they start talking. But yeah, so a Honda is a Honda.
Yeah.
You know, except for the sport bikes, and everybody thinks, oh, motorcycle, they must be doing wheelies and blah, 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 or running crystal meth and being, and I'm like, no, it's a Honda, dude.
Running crystal meth on your motorcycle. Is that a thing Honda users do?
No, that's a thing Harley guys used to do in the
right.
70s.
Yes.
And
the Sons of Anarchy predecessors.
Yeah, exactly.
The ones who were actually, trying to make a real life a crime out of the whole thing.
Well, we call them 1%ers because it was 1% of bikers were actually criminals. Everybody else just rode bikes. Yeah. And the whole thing about a biker gang, you get on your bikes, you go to some busted down bar in the boonies where one of your friends own, and you drank a lot, and you're playing pirate. I mean, that's really what it was. You go to your pillow fort, you hang out with your buddies, and then you go back home.
Yeah.
No, not while doing wheelies. But most of the time it's like you see the heavy bikes, so I've got a heavy Honda, I've got a Shadow, so it looks like a Harley Softail, and I'm like, look, I'm riding to Utah at 80 miles per hour. This is what I'm doing. And I see the little bug butts, the little like the Ninjas and all the sports bikes, and I call them bug butts because look at them from behind, they look like Hornets. They really do. And most people think, oh, well, they're riding a motorcycle, they're going to be doing wheelies and doing all these stunts, and I'm like, no,
hopefully not.
I'm just going. But they see that and they see luxury kids doing luxury kid stuff, and they're like, screw them, I got somewhere to be. And it's like, do you see me? I've got a backpack. I'm not wearing like a biker cut,
I also have somewhere to be. I'm on my way there right now.
Right.
I'm not doing this for fun. Like, I am going from point A to point B, and it just so happens to be on a bike.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what the clubs do, especially on Sundays, is do a little payback. And they go, we don't have anywhere to be. We're just riding today. How do you like it, fuckers? Yeah, guess what? I'm just going down to Garden Grove. What are you going to do? Turn around, go back? Or, hey, I'm going to go down, take Grand from the Riverside border all the way up into like the top of the mountains up in Azusa.
Yeah.
Just go for a ride. You're going to go for a ride and go check out a rock quarry or something like that because it's Sunday and most of us are laborers. And this is our last chance to get any relaxation before we got to go back and operate a forklift or something.
Well, I mean, the concept of a relaxing Sunday drive is something that is pretty ubiquitous in our culture. I mean,
not in California culture. Like, Sunday driving is a bad thing.
Well, in Southern California culture.
Okay.
But, when you're on a motorcycle, you can go a lot further for a lot cheaper for a Sunday drive. I mean,
true.
As a kid, we didn't have a lot of vacations we could do, but pile everyone in the car, and it's a relatively cheap thing to drive a couple hours into the mountains or something, and hey, we did a Sunday drive. This was a fun thing we did today for the cost of gas and maybe buying a meal at a diner.
Yeah.
It's a reasonable way to do a relaxing sort of Sunday.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because, when I was growing up, we kind of had the Sunday drive, but it was the Sunday drive to church. You going to church?
Yeah. Well, this would be after church in my case. This is after church in my case.
And see, this is why I pity you for growing up Caucasian and middle class in Northern California.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we'll see. Especially in the inner city, holla. After church was what we were really going for. Because we get up there for 4.5 hours after Sunday school, and the man is sitting up there, and he's a-sweating, and he's telling you how to be a Christian, and he's telling you about hell, and then he's going through all that, which is the price you pay for the barbecue, the basketball games, all the greens, all the grits. You guys know what I'm talking about. Y'all know. So you get.
So there's a little bit of a quid pro quo there. You give him the satisfaction of sitting in front of you and yelling at you about hell, and you get the satisfaction of delicious food for the rest of the afternoon.
Well, delicious food, playing with the kids in the neighborhood, meeting the really, really cute girls who clean up good because everybody's cleaned up good. So the question is, what does she look like when she's not in that? I mean, when she's dressed down, like when she's just wearing what she would wear to school. Okay, I realized where that could have gone real quick. That was kind of ugly there. And then it would be like the trip to the barber shop. Our Sunday drives would be like errands.
Yeah.
But just everybody who grew up poor backed me up on this. Since we didn't do those Sunday drives or those day things, we ended up having to make our errands, like we had to weave our fun into the errands that we had to do anyway. So it was like, I'm sure you're starting to notice now that you're hanging out with me and your your circle is getting a little more colorful,
a little more diverse.
Yeah, you're noticing like, oh, why do all these guys go to the barber shop? And it's like, dude, and the reason is the same reason you guys go to coffee houses. We're just going to hang.
Yeah.
We're going to hang out. And no, Mom, I'm getting a haircut.
Yep. That's something that my barber definitely has more of that barbershop culture that he promotes in his shop, and it's something that I've never really engaged in because I had no frame of reference for that. But like I would go in there like, well, I'm here to get my actual haircut, and there'd just be people hanging out. I'm like,
why are these guys hanging out?
Yeah, what's just going on here? Like, why are you just chilling, drinking beer and smoking cigars while other people are getting haircuts? I don't really understand it. Oh, it took me a while. Like, this is a thing people do.
It's us going to the game store.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Are you going to buy anything from Games Workshop? Maybe like, this.
Yep.
Because I only got $2.
Yeah, pot of paint.
I'm just going to buy a little pot of paint. And then I'm going to sit up for the next 7 hours talking about the stuff that I talk about because that's where my friends are.
Yep. I actually had an interesting conversation. Matt, the guy who runs the Games Workshop store near my house, really nice guy. But I was talking with him about that specific thing where for a long time Games Workshop as a company was discouraging that behavior. Because they would have people who would go and buy very little and then sit in the store for a long period of time just jawing or whatever. And
that's one of the reasons why I resent them so hard. Because, they discourage that culture and then they would muscle out the stores that didn't.
Yeah. Well, to continue with that, one of the nice things about the last couple of years is that they have switched that policy. They have become much more friendly to people just hanging out in the store. And now every time I go into the Games Workshop store, there's always 6 or 8 people sitting around. They have a dedicated hobby table where it's just, the same size as a game table, but you want to sit there and paint or assemble models or read your new magazine, talk with your friends. You can do that. I mean, it's not a very large store, but they specifically dedicate space to people being able to hang out because they recognize that people going to the Games Workshop store and just hanging out may not be buying stuff themselves, but they're promoting a culture of people being welcome in there and coming in to buy more stuff overall. I certainly feel more welcome knowing that there's a bunch of people hanging out in the store and it's not a weird ghost town that just has people blow in and out and maybe purchase some stuff. It seems a lot more welcoming.
No, I mean, quite honestly, I'm really, really big on that kind of thing. It's the whole idea that companies like GW were doing the whole buy something or get out thing to a culture that's all about, we buy stuff, but we buy stuff to not have to buy stuff later on.
Yeah.
And it sounds weird, but you buy all these miniatures, you can't keep buying miniatures while you're painting them.
Right. I mean,
you can't quite. And then when you're actually playing the games, it's like, dude, don't you get it? If we're in here and go to Vegas. I know you guys are from the UK, specifically England, but go to Vegas, or in your case, go to Monte Carlo, or go to Shanghai, because a casino will tell you when the customers are having fun, more customers will spend money.
Yeah.
Because they want to be part of that fun.
Yeah, even if not every single person is just making it rain on the tables, they understand like a few free drinks from the house and everyone's feeling good, and and people are smoking cigars
with their money.
Yeah, what the drinks are free. I'm not paying for them. Sure, I'll spend an extra $100 on the craps table. I'm not spending it on drinks. I'm already drunk and having fun. And that idea of just keep people happy, even if they don't spend a lot of money now. They'll be back.
Oh yeah.
And when they're back, they'll be having fun then too, and you'll get that repeat business.
Well, yeah, because the house always wins, and the house wins because of time.
Yeah.
Time. If you're patient enough, they will come in and they will spend so much money on so much of the stuff, especially since we are human, which means it's funny. I argue with people all the time because, how can I put it? I'm old, they're young, they think they know, and I know I don't. Which is, when you guys watch this on repeat, you'll be like, oh, that's what it means. And
Old Man Solar's at it again.
Yeah, that's right, because, I see a lot of people, I hung out in all these different marginalized cultures. And everybody is fighting to be King Poop of Turd Mountain.
Right.
And it's like, no, I'm an alpha. I'm like, that's funny. I'm a human.
Yeah.
Like, what do you know? I'm an alpha. I'm the king of the pack. I'm like, humans are herd animals.
Yep.
If we weren't herd animals, we wouldn't want to be part of groups.
Yep.
We wouldn't see those guys having a good time over there, so I want to be with those guys.
Yep.
I don't want to be with those guys over there not having a good time. And it's like, no, but I'm an alpha. I'm like, no, dude, we're herd animals.
Yeah.
No, because people can be like wolves and stuff like that. I'm like, have you ever seen a stampede of wolves?
Yeah, it's not how they roll.
No, they don't. Have you ever seen a stampede of coyotes?
Yeah, not really how they do it.
Ever seen a stampede of chickens?
Or of lions, or of any other pack animal. No.
But you know what? I've seen riots.
I've seen a stampede of people at Walmart, for God's sake.
Yeah, every year.
Yeah.
Every year.
Every damn year.
Black Friday.
Yeah.
Just running through trying to get that TV.
Yeah.
And so, no, we're herd animals. We go where we're led.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm trying real hard to be the shepherd.
Yes.
Real hard.
Yeah, keep
Yeah,
my family on the old family ranch. The main thing that they raise are sheep and cows. I've spent a lot of time around herds of dumb animals, and I'm one of those people. I'm like, oh, sheep are so cute. I'm like, just a 1,000-yard stare. You don't know, man. You don't know. Hate sheep. Anyway, but yeah,
Doug is sitting up like, I've seen things, and all that wool will fade like tears in rain.
But yeah, you have the right idea. Like, being the person who can guide the...
Whoa, hang on.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
the screen
curses.
freeze?
Yeah, we got a little bit of a screen freeze. Sorry, the guys listening on SoundCloud, they will dig that jazz. But until then, this is a thing.
Cool. Well, I was just going to say, to your point, being the shepherd it's allowing the rest of the herd to be safe and do what they want to do, and everyone's having fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I did want to address Sean in the chat. He was pointing out that the whole point of being at a game store is you're buying stuff that takes you're buying stuff for games that take 4 hours to play. But if you're doing that, you have to be hanging out in the store, and the store has to be ready to absorb the kind of time commitment that having people in there requires for these sort of games. I mean,
right.
I've had a number of times where the store is like, oh, you're actually going to be playing some of the games that you bought miniatures at this store for. I don't know. That's gonna take a good 4 hours, and we're trying to keep the tables open. I'm like, dude,
open for who?
Yeah, like, I got off work and I came here after I saw my kid on Thursday night. I got, I want to play a game. Well, we're closing in 2 hours, and no, you can't stay late. So better make it a fast one.
Right.
I haven't exactly had the best experience with that.
No, I bet. I mean, seriously, when it comes to those really simple ideas, like, well, we sell a game that takes all day to play, and you got to buy the game and be here all damn day. So, oh no, I can't have you be in here all damn day playing the game that you came in here to buy all damn day. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, that's why a lot of the games that I've been a lot more interested in lately are the skirmish style smaller games.
Yes.
And there's a number of them. We've talked about some of them before. There's a really exciting one coming up from Games Workshop called Kill Team. But a lot of these games, one of the huge selling points of them is the fact that you're playing the entire game in like an hour. And you're using a handful of models, probably 5 to 10 models for most of these games. And the whole game is relatively easy to sit down, set up, and play. Kill Team is exciting because they specifically designed it to work on a 22-inch by 30-inch board. And that board is specifically designed to be, most coffee tables in size. Which, again, I'm pretty thrilled about.
Right.
A lot of these games are on 3x3 or 3 foot by 3 foot tables, which is also conveniently the size of your average folding coffee table. In fact, the table we have right in front of us here is 3x3.
Right.
And these games are designed to be. Oh, hey, we're back.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Look at that.
These games are designed to be easy to sit down, put models on the table, have some terrain, and just play a game. And from the time you're sitting down, you're not investing 4 hours in a game. You can play this at a game store, you can play this at home. And wherever you're doing it, it's not going to be that incredible investment.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many people that, look at the whole idea of going somewhere, hanging out, but they're like, you know what? If people come into my shop and they hang out, they're using my space, they're using my internet, they're using my electricity, and in all honesty, wow, thanks. Attack sheep burning off the shoulders of Orion. You are using their resources, and that's a thing. That is a thing. But that is the thing to think about when your business model is come in, buy something, get out.
Yeah.
If that's the case, don't buy anything that requires time. This is why restaurants are restaurants. This is why Denny's is orange.
Yeah.
It's come in. Oh my God, it's uncomfortable to sit here all day. I gotta go.
Yeah.
I'm getting out of here.
Well,
By the way, you guys, sorry about that technical difficulty over there. As I said, I didn't say this at the beginning of the show, but we're running a GoFundMe and really trying to get the whole thing going so that we get better equipment. And today you guys got to see the problems that we have with the equipment that we got, so thank you guys for bearing in. If you guys are listening on SoundCloud, don't worry, we just had freeze up and they had to look at my face for like 4 minutes with a really dumb expression on my face. And yeah, but we're back, we're saving up for a switcher. All that stuff is actually in the not in the comments but in the description, so you guys can take a look at that. And you can also help by subscribing, ringing the bell, helping the channel grow.
Yeah.
And eventually you'll be able to join us at backinthedeck.com. I'm looking to make it like $6 a month for all the stuff with a better chat and better archiving system and stuff like that. You can go there for free and look at everything we got. But the ultimate goal is to do all of this stuff through Back in the Deck and not necessarily YouTube, and build the community, and we'll actually have that safe space, because doing stuff on YouTube is kind of like meeting at the park. It really is. Anybody can walk in and come up, and we're open for anybody to come in and but being on screen, monitoring the chat, making sure that trolls don't come in that just want to insult all the people of color and the women and all that stuff. and make sure that they don't steal our votes and elect Putin next year. I'm talking about bots.
Yeah.
All that stuff, because we're trying to do a community here, not just hot button topics that piss people off.
Yeah.
If I wanted more subscribers that way, we'd be doing nothing but talking about politics and racial relations and LGBT relations and all that stuff.
Well, we have plenty to talk about with that in games, and we've done a lot of that. Try to include all these groups that are traditionally marginalized by the people who look suspiciously like me.
Yeah.
Which
just
is
the ones who look like him.
Yeah. I haven't seen a lot of people who don't look suspiciously like me ostracizing people in game stores.
One or two.
Yeah. It happens, but usually there's this very significant part of the community that I have always disliked that are what I call the old guard. They're often older nerds that are mainly white, suburban, at least moderately affluent, or come from moderate affluence, and they like to gatekeep other people out of their hobby because they feel like this is something special to them, and if anyone else tries to break in and they haven't put in the years and years of sitting around eating Cheetos at a table that they have, that they don't deserve to be part of this community. And when I first started, I got that both barrels. People had their little clique and I wasn't allowed in. And yep,
keep talking.
That's the guy. Just that guy. Oh, jeez. Why would? Oh.
No, just keep talking. Don't worry about what's on screen.
Yeah. Anyway, plenty of that guy at the game store. And that guy, or the guys like that guy, are always the ones who are trying to say that they know better, that they have. Usually, it's under some guise of trying to gatekeep other people out of their hobby. They don't want...
He's trying to be King Poop of Turd Mountain.
Yeah, but specifically that they have put in the time to be King Poop. And no matter what your qualifications are, if you don't have the level of obsessive, life-wasting dedication that they have put in to memorizing everything from the lore, the rules, all the additions, you're not allowed to have fun with them.
Matter of fact, if you haven't done it at the same time that they did.
Yes.
It's no new guys allowed. It's no new guys allowed. Well, I only want people that are like me, as old as I am. I want clones of myself so that I can rule, because Jeremy spoke in class today. And at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, guess what? That ain't us.
Yeah.
Sorry my parents aren't white people. Sorry, sorry I'm LGBT in Long Beach. I'm not, but I'm speaking for the LGBT people that will be coming. Yeah. Sorry I'm disabled. I didn't mean to get into a car accident when I was 16 because my dad fell asleep behind the wheel from working his third job.
Right.
I'm sorry that I didn't have the right breeding to play your little imaginary game, or to like your wizards with space swords, and I'm like, I'm 13 days older than Star Wars itself. Star Wars came out in May 77. So did I.
Yep.
So, it's like, but you didn't spend all the time on the lore. No, I'm sorry. I was kind of busy taking care of my family and actually running for my life from an authoritarian police force that was shooting at children.
Yep.
I was too busy being a rebel,
Yeah, trying to actually do the stuff and live my life while you didn't have the sort of struggles that caused you to need to focus on anything other than, well, what am I doing today? I guess I'll read the entire Wikipedia page on whatever dumb piece of Star Wars lore I can think of. Now, speaking of someone who reads a lot of Wikipedia pages about dumb Star Wars lore, I can say that, it's definitely out there. It's definitely a thing. But the idea is that I enjoy reading that stuff, and I enjoy sharing this knowledge with other people and bringing them into the community, where a lot of people take that as like, well, I spent the time on it. If you didn't, you're not worth my time and attention. And I strongly reject that idea.
Well, again, that's why we started this company. Because it's like, you know what? You guys can have your sandbox. We'll be over here actually having fun.
Yep. Making
more friends, playing with our costumes, and being ourselves. And we're not saying you can't do you. Do you?
Yep.
Do you all day?
Yeah, be a weird neckbeard with a fedora.
But this herd is going to where the pastures are green, the air is crisp, and the coyotes are busy chasing birds. Speaking of coyotes chasing birds in the desert, today we are going to be, you see, I do segues. That's, you know, we're going to be talking today about agnostic games. Okay, model agnostic games. For those of you guys that don't know, a model agnostic game is essentially a game that doesn't have its own set of miniatures.
Right.
You've got games like Warhammer 40K that are like, we are Space Marines. Hey, bro, you like Space Marines? No, I like Tyranids. You like Tyranids? Have some Tyranids. Have a box of Tyranids. Have a whole cake made from Tyranids. Cool. Now, can I play Tyranids with this other game? No. You need Warjacks.
Yep.
You need these models. Like, there's no,
and we should be clear,
there's no swapping out, you know?
Yeah, we should be clear. This is the traditional style in which games are made.
Yeah.
You want to play, again, Warhammer, War Machine, any traditional miniatures game, even a historical miniatures game. If you want to play Flames of War, which is a World War II miniatures game, you need to buy Flames of War models because those models are, okay, you bought a Panzer tank, that Panzer tank has the rules for what a Panzer tank in this game does. And I mean, I guess you could put a matchbox on there and call it a Panzer tank, but if you're going to go to any sort of event, part of the reason they do this is that they want people to be able to look at the table and at a glance know that, well, that's a Panzer tank. I at least have a rough idea of what a Panzer tank does. You don't have to be, okay, this matchbox is a Panzer, and this one's a Stug, and this one is a half-track, and the idea is that the traditional model is that you bring models made by the company so that you can know what you're playing, and also so the company makes money off you.
Right.
But what we're looking at here are these model agnostic games where the idea is not that you use the official models from the company so much as you use any models that will work within the system.
Yeah. Now, for those of you guys that really don't do models games, because I know there's a lot of people out there that look at this stuff like magic. Why are these people doing this stuff with action figures? Let me put it in regular layman's terms. You go to your grandmama's house, and she's got Monopoly, Life, Candyland, Chutes and Ladders. And sorry. Well, you guys want to play Monopoly. Everybody's fighting over the car because everybody wants to be the car in Monopoly. And when you're playing Monopoly, there's the car, the thimble, the dog, the top hat, and something else. One of you guys will probably say it because I forgot somebody's favorite.
I haven't played Monopoly in so long, I couldn't correct you.
And you know what? Sometimes another person might want to play, but you don't have the little pewter figure, and that person says, it's okay, I'll just use a Lego. And the whole room looks at you going, no, you can't use a Lego, or if you're from our neck of the woods, fine, use a Lego, use a penny, we don't care, we just need to know what's yours. And a model agnostic game is taking the games that we have that have all these different models that are specific to it, and kind of going, hey, look at all the models that this stuff is specific to. These are for games. There's a Fallout mini, so there must be a Fallout game. It's a My Little Pony thing right there,
I don't know what the My Little Pony thing's about.
Huh?
I said, I don't know what the My Little Pony thing's about.
I don't care. They look awesome, And you can buy all these models, but what games can you play them with? Well, do you have to play the Fallout Miniatures game? Or do you have to play Zombicide with Zombicide? Or do you have some damn action figures from when you were 8?
Yeah.
And so a model agnostic game is essentially a game where you can use practically anything to say, hey, look, this guy is this guy. He's on the board.
And specifically the games that we're talking about here allow you to, rather than what I'm going to call the Warhammer model of you want to play, you make an army list that involves 10 Space Marines and a tank, we'll say. Well, okay, now you need to purchase 10 Space Marines and a tank, you need to paint them, put them on the table. This game says, okay, well, what models do you already have? Okay, well, you have this wizard miniature, and you have some Native American miniatures from this other game, and you have a cowboy, and you have, you just, whatever you have, well, you got a cowboy miniature. All right, let's put that on the table, and this cowboy miniature is holding 2 pistols, because of course he is. All right, so we can have rules for...
Your name is Negan.
Oh, well, there you go. The cowboy model's got 2 pistols, so we're going to give him rules. The rules for the game support giving a model 2 pistols and having special abilities as such. So you can customize the rules for the miniature based on the miniature you have, as opposed to the other way around, where your miniature needs to follow the preset rules, which is, like I say, pretty cool, especially for games like This Is Not a Test, where the whole game is designed to be super modular, and you can use fantasy miniatures, sci-fi miniatures, and anything in between to be represented in this Fallout-esque post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to agnostic miniatures games, miniature agnostic games, I'm a big fan of miniature agnostic for the step up from, of course, you know, and you guys who watch the show knows, you guys know I like HeroClix because it's a simple game that takes away the hobby aspect,
right, to
get people just into playing.
Yeah, just play the game.
Model agnostic games like Frostgrave. This Is Not a Test. One of the new ones that are coming out for sci-fi. I'm a big fan of, because being a guy that's all about gameplay, you know, not as much about lore, but I want to play a game. I want to get my friends together. I want to play a game. I want to laugh with them. I want to have a good time. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah.
And model agnostic games are great because if you've got a Dollar Tree or a 99-cent store, you can go. I mean, these are games that you can play with Bleeding Army Men.
Yep.
You can play them with any toy that's about that size.
Yeah, roughly
but
miniature
really,
size.
as long as, even if they're not roughly miniature size, as long as they can fit on what the base size would be.
Yeah.
Because that's where all your measurements come in. At the end of the day, it's like, what is the standard miniature size for a small base model? Is it 10 millimeters or?
So the standard scale for most miniatures games is what's called 28 millimeter,
right,
which is, you know, ends up being a surprisingly large range, but the standard base size for a human size figure is going to be usually either 25 millimeters or 30 millimeters.
Right. So
roughly.
So essentially, if you just cut out a piece of cardboard and put your Power Ranger figure on top of that, boom, you can play that Power Ranger in this game as long as you write up the rules for that Power Ranger based on what the rules state.
Yep.
So these are games that, I'm not going to say they're generic, but they're not stuck behind such a deep paywall.
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing for new gamers.
This Is Not a Test, specifically, the guy who created it, it's basically a one-man passion project. You know, he roped in some friends to do some of the art and some of the playtesting and stuff like that, but Joseph McGuire, I think is his last name. Anyway, he was like, yeah, I want to be able to play a post-apocalyptic game with my friends. So he just started writing rules to use with whatever miniatures he had lying around, because there wasn't already something in that niche. And, you know, much like a lot of our listeners here, he didn't have a lot of miniatures to do the thing with. So he was like, well, what do I have? How do I make rules for it? I want people to be able to take whatever miniatures they have and just... Do you have a bunch of fantasy guys? Cool. We have rules for tribals, which are, you know, humans who don't have the technology to survive the wasteland. But what do they have? Well, you know, they can make swords. Turns out people are real good at making swords out of scrap metal. They can make spears. They can make rudimentary armor, and he put rules for all that in the game. So if you have a medieval-looking miniature, you can just give that guy rules and put him in the wasteland with everyone else. And every single rule in the game, and every piece of equipment in the game is something that you can pretty accurately reflect with any miniature that you put down. You know, if you have some orcs from fantasy, sure, those guys are mutants, and you give the mutants a variety of scrap armor. If you have some Space Marine-looking future sci-fi guys, great. We got power armor rules, so they can be, you know, very few of those guys because it costs so many points to put something like that together. But you can have a really robust army list made out of almost anything you want based on the rules in the game. That was his whole goal from the get-go, is to be able to make anything with anything you already have.
Right.
You know, no paywall required.
Yeah. And, you know, now, as you guys probably know, this guy right here, he loves him. This is not a test.
It's
He's
true.
Like, yeah,
it's true.
Because he likes the post-apocalyptic setting. I'm not a big fan of it, but the point is, it is that versatile. If you take a look, we're showing like some eBay stuff happening, and you can buy like these are lots of, just groups. You get like 5 or 6 miniatures. Like, hey, look at that. You get freaking just for like $20, and you end up getting a whole bunch right here. Look at all those monster miniatures, and if you can find a model agnostic game that would fit that path, you can like say Frostgrave.
Yeah.
Is another game. And so you can do the Frostgrave thing. You can spend $17 on a whole bunch of monsters and all that stuff, and you're good. You can get This Is Not a Test, and you can find big lots of like army men and other lots like that on eBay or Craigslist or at yard sales or garage sales. And it really keeps the low paywall in, and there's lots of different settings for these things.
Yeah.
Now, This Is Not a Test is one of the games that there has been lots and lots and lots and lots of field testing on. The game is like 5 or 6 years old now.
I don't know if it's that old, but
Okay.
probably at least 3 years old.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been playing it.
Yeah. It really had a bunch of really had a surge in popularity given the Fallout popularity, the Walking Dead popularity. Essentially anything that is current society has crumbled for some reason.
Yeah.
So you get the Fallout phenomenon since they're up to part 4. With all the DLC, you get Walking Dead, you get Fear the Walking Dead, Jericho, The Day After Tomorrow,
any vaguely post-apocalyptic thing. Which again, the game is designed around being super modular.
Yeah.
So whether you have, like you say, The Walking Dead. You want to play a zombie apocalypse?
Cool.
Sure, you can do that. Most of the games of This Is Not a Test I've played have been zombie-heavy games. I have a lot of zombie miniatures. It was a good way to have antagonists in the game.
Exactly.
One of the scenarios is explicitly, I think they call it pest control.
Okay.
And the idea is like there are nests of whatever miniatures you have. You got some rats. Did you go to the the art store and get a bunch of those cheap plastic tigers or something? Put some miniatures on the table.
Yeah.
Like, you've got monsters on the table, and you and the other player are fighting against each other, basically in a contest to see how many monsters you can kill. And you get points for how many monsters you kill. And then if you knock out the nests these monsters come from, great. So you can get zombie miniatures and have a whole zombie apocalypse thing, and then have pits full of radioactive waste or whatever your zombies come from in your mind. And you and your buddy can just sit down and kill some zombies for a while and pretend it's The Walking Dead, and it's fine.
Yeah. Now, this guy painted up for me. You can see the pictures on Deckers on the book, so I'm not putting them on the screen.
It's true.
Hint. He painted up essentially a bunch of post-apocalyptic or futuristic steam-powered cowboys, because it's like, if I'm going to do post-apocalyptica, I'm going to think back to, well, what kind of society would America have? I'm from California, which is in the Southwest, so we do got cowboys and prospectors.
Yep.
So I'm like, you know what? I'll do some cowboy things. There's got to be some law and order, some kind of people trying to put society back together.
Yeah. And
I may put some sci-fi guys back together to say, you know what? We figured out nuclear power, and thing one, we made a bomb. So if you try and take it, we're gonna blow it up.
Yep.
We're just gonna blow up everything because I love Dr. Strangelove.
Oh yeah.
But it's all a matter of really being able to put this stuff together, having fun with all this stuff, and it opens you up to use what you got. And if you want to go get more, that's cool. I have a friend who might be in the chat. He might be at work, but he made it clear he used to play 40K with his buddies, and mostly they used change.
Yeah.
They use change on the table. And I'm like, okay, a change on the table, that's very, he's from upstate New York. And I'm like, oh, wait, isn't that where all the rich people live? It's like, yeah, but the people that work for them live there too. And I'm like, okay,
yeah,
all right, I get
yeah.
you. Right there with you. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm all about proxying figures. I'm all about playing games for the sake of playing games.
Yeah.
Play the games. It's one of the reasons that I have such a large HeroClix collection from buying them from all the people that don't do tournaments anymore.
Yeah.
So I've got proxies for just about every situation
It's true.
ever.
Every superhero and everything.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
I gotta laugh at Nicholas Hurst in the chat here. You know, in a world where tigers outnumber humans, zombies and space marines battle to see who can kill more big cats. Like, I'm thinking, like, you can literally do that with almost, like, basically no modification of the rules. That is the thing you can just do in TNT.
Yeah.
Like, just, yeah, space marines would be the preservers faction, zombies would be a mutants faction, the big cats would be... I think they literally have rules for, like, mountain lions.
Okay.
And as one of the standard, like, enemies in the game. Cool. Everything now has rules. Put your miniatures on the table. Play a game.
Yeah.
Done.
Now, you played Frostgrave a couple of weeks ago,
I did.
right?
I did. Enjoyed the hell out of it.
Kind of like fantasy type set things. But
also, yeah.
As I was saying, the whole proxy thing.
Oh, yes.
This is a HeroClick right here. I'm not
that's
sure.
so cool.
Yeah, that is, right? This is actually Detroit Steel. It's an Iron Man villain made by Justin Hammer. You know, and I'm like, yeah, look at that. Well, when it's time for me to play Infinity or the sci-fi edition, yeah, this little thing is popping right. This thing is $1.
Yeah,
this thing is a $1 figure, and I don't use them for HeroClix, but look at that thing.
Yeah,
I've also got the Pacific Rim robots that are about the same size.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I got robots with chainsaws.
Yep.
Sweet, let's play this.
And
now, what I couldn't do is that very same thing at a Games Workshop store for a Games Workshop.
Correct.
I wouldn't be able to go to a War Machine tournament with this thing
proxies.
and use these, because it's like, no, it's got to be wherever tier. But and not even Infinity, and I love me some Infinity.
Yes.
You know, I love those models. I'm all about the wobots.
Events,
You know, but with model agnostic games like Frostgrave, like Frostgrave Archipelago, like This Is Not a Test, like that other thing you were talking about, right?
Zone Raiders.
There's
a new one coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Then I can use all these cool robot toys.
Yes.
And all these cool, like, superhero toys. And I actually, as of next week, I'm going to have a whole bunch more of goons.
Oh, yeah. The goons, like, for HeroClix, right?
Yeah. I'm going to, because the new set of Batman the Animated Series is coming out, so they've upgraded the henchmen.
Oh, cool.
So now the new henchmen are going to be coming out, and they're more versatile. But now I've got the old henchmen from all the editions over the past 15 years. So now I've got dudes in prison jumpsuits.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I've got more dudes with actual, like, domino masks and striped shirts. And I'm like, okay, now I've got all these. So I can pop them off the base, put them on a regular base, and I can use them for other model agnostic games.
Absolutely.
So my money isn't wasted.
Not at all.
You know,
and you're buying a lot of these HeroClix slots in huge lots for very small amounts of money. I mean, this is something that anyone could do, even if they don't want to play HeroClix. It's a source of super cheap, readily available miniatures. There's a lot of those out there, and once you disconnect in your mind the need for the miniature to exactly represent, you know, like, again, if you're going into this with the traditional mindset of, well, Space Marines need to have Space Marine models. Disconnect that in your mind and go, no, I just need to have a dude in power armor. That robot you just showed is awesome, because that guy could be a guy in power armor, and This Is Not a Test, and... Well, what does he have? Well, he's got like a chainsaw hand and a big cannon, and you know what?
Gatling cannon, chainsaw hand, some sort of flying thing happening here.
You could easily put those stats on that guy, and he would be clomping around in your This Is Not a Test game just fine. He'd be in Zone Raiders. He might be your big boss that you have leading your warband. And how cool is it to have the guy leading your warband with a chainsaw hand and a Gatling gun hand? Like, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, these are... yeah, you know what? Take that up with him off the air. Somebody is like, I feel personally attacked.
Oh, Sean.
Yeah, but yeah, seriously, it's just it's one of those things.
He plays orcs in Warhammer 40k, and I've been pressuring him to expand his collection by getting like Tonka trucks and stuff, and just, you know, doing a little bit of conversion work with plastic and cardboard so they look all beat up. And he's like, no.
You know that kid right there.
No, I want official models. And I'm like, hey man, it's your prerogative. I'm just trying to save you a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, dude, hey, you know, but at the end of the day, if that's what he wants, that's what he wants.
Well,
you know?
and he's coming from a place I understand too, which is, while money is very tight for him, time is even more tight, and he has very limited time for hobbying. So he doesn't want to spend
He comes from where I come from.
Yes, and he doesn't want to spend his precious limited hobby time converting a Tonka truck when he could be spending that time painting models or otherwise getting ready to put stuff on the table. He's like, well, I've got a bunch of orcs. They got to be painted anyway. I'm doubling the amount of work or more to convert the damn Tonka truck, and now I have to paint it after I'm done with it anyway.
Yeah.
So I might, which is again part of the stuff that people have to weigh. Like, well, do you want to give yourself more work, or in the name of saving yourself some money, or spend more money to cut down on the work? It's, what is it? The good, fast, cheap pick too, and it's there's no wrong choice there. It's just you have to understand that if you're going to be doing something for faster, it's probably not going to be as cheap.
Right.
And that's understandable.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where we push, as we've pushed in so many shows before, always be clear on your own motive for playing.
Absolutely.
What are you doing this for? Like I said, believe it or not, this guy and I, we don't play that many games. Because he's more a hobby dude.
It's true.
But he's a hobby dude, a new dad, full-time job. So he might be able to play a game, and he lives like 35 miles away. So we don't have a whole lot of time to actually play games together. I'm running a production company, doing a bunch of editing, getting clients together, taking all these trips to find other stores all over the place. So, when I get together sit down for a game, I want to play as many games as possible because this is the last time I might be able to play for God knows how long.
Weeks.
And when he gets together, he can play a game or he could do some painting. And he's happy either way.
It's true.
So
yeah, and for me, a lot of the time, like you say, I don't have a lot of time for playing games. I'm trying to force myself to have more time, which is always a little bit of a mixed bag. But it's like if I can get one game a week in, I consider that a pretty successful week, and that's not been very consistent. But I can pretty reliably find time some evening or a couple of evenings during the week to be able to do some painting, do some hobbying. And so that's a way for me to engage with this hobby and do something I enjoy, because I have more time to work on it by myself than I do time available where with other people. Because like, well, all right, the kid's asleep, and it's like last night. It's like, all right, the kid passed out around 8:30 or 9. Well, I'm gonna stay up for a couple of hours. Like, I can't go hang out with anyone and play a game, but I can sit down and I can do some painting, and I'll tell you what, I sure did, and I got a lot done, and it was very enjoyable.
Yeah, and then you paid for it by not sleeping.
It's true. I mean, that's what this delightful Night Vale mug full of work juice is doing for me. It's keeping me working. All hail the glow cloud.
Yeah, I had a moment or two last night, where I was actually able to play a game of HeroClix.
Oh, you actually got to play last night?
Yeah, with my Hobbit.
Nice.
We did a Wakanda, like the Wakanda versus the X-Force.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it did not go the way I thought it was gonna go, but I was really, really proud of the girl.
How did you think it was gonna go?
Do you honestly think that I think Deadpool can beat Wakanda?
You personally would not think that Deadpool could beat Wakanda.
There we go. That's where we go.
Okay.
All right. But
I'm guessing from this though that Deadpool kind of beat up on Wakanda.
Actually, Domino beat up on Wakanda.
Really? Oh, okay.
Her figure is put together really well. A lot of stealth. It was two stealthy teams. Two stealthy teams that were based on hiding in the shadows and shooting. But we couldn't see each other. And every time I'm like, well, we are Wakanda. We can close the distance and cut up a lot of things. And Domino kept going, nope, reroll, nope, reroll, nope, reroll.
She's just too damn lucky.
Yeah, she is. She is. And again, the second part of Domino's thing is she's lucky when she's doing her stuff. You're unlucky when you're doing yours.
Yeah.
And the dice reflected that so hard.
Yeah.
I think out of 35 rolls of 2 6-sided dice, I rolled over 4 twice.
Ooh, I've had those games,
and she rolled under 9 3 times.
Yeah, I tell I tell a lot of people who get really really upset about their dice rolls. It's like, look, man, we all been there. I've had some games where, like you say, I cannot roll above 4 to save my life on 2 dice. And I've had other games where I can't roll below 9. And I go, okay, well, if this is just going to be that sort of game, one of the hardest things for me that I still struggle with is being able to take a deep breath and just laugh it off. You know, when the dice go poorly, especially. You know, I just go,
you're
okay.
Learning. You're learning.
I am, but, you know, I've had those games, like I sit down, play the game of Warhammer, where it's like, okay, I need to make a certain amount of saving throws so my entire unit doesn't get wiped. I make none.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is just one of those sort of games.
Mm-hmm.
And I, you know, just roll my shoulders out.
Welcome to the Battle of Kelvin, my friend.
Yeah.
You were a Starfleet captain for 8 minutes. How many people did you save, including you and your mother?
Yep. And that's got to be it. It's you. The important thing for me in that situation is to change the focus of what I'm trying to do in the game, because at that point I'm not really trying to win anymore.
Right.
You know, the dice are not gonna let me win. They might change around, but I'm not here to win anymore. I'm here to have the best game I can. I have to make my own new goals, and that new goal might be, you know what? Screw that one unit. If I'm going down, I'm taking them with me.
Yeah, it's what I call the moral victory.
Yes, the moral victory.
And it was really interesting because one of the things I found myself doing, because I brought the armies to the store. This was the game that we played before our Welcome to Night Vale D20 game. And I'm like, no, I want to play a game of Hero Clicks because I've been getting all these new Hero Clicks and I haven't played a game in months. Blah, 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 blah. So I took the stuff down, showed the store owner the back in the deck foldable buildings, and we put everything up and we were playing the game, and I could not keep my mouth shut. I just kept doing Deadpool impressions the entire game.
And you were not playing Deadpool.
I was not playing Deadpool. I was like, oh, hi, Panther. You know, how's it going? And I was doing like the voices of both of them. I'm like, would you please shut him up? Okay, that girl is named after a game our grandfathers like to play. We must find her, you know, or we must find her. And
looks like Sean is a lover of Hero Clicks as well.
Yeah, maybe. You know, one of these days I might meet him. And but you know, I think the funniest part was she made Psylocke run and pick up a trash can.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, hey Chala, it's a trash can. Is it vibranium? I've got a vibranium trash can. At least a trash can lid. Isn't that what you gave Captain America? And it's like, God, shut up. In my own head. Yeah. I totally had a moment of I'm channeling Deadpool screaming at the Wakandan army.
Yep.
You know,
which is very in character.
Yeah, it is very in character. And but I was having a great time by myself, and she kicked my ass. I'm serious. Like, Chala was the first one gone.
Oh, no.
Because Deadpool did some backup on Domino, then Domino got a hit and knocks Chala into Deadpool, and then Deadpool got 2 attacks that did, like, 1d6 per attack of damage. Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, oh, my God. This is oh, well, sorry, Chala. He's gone. Black Panther's gone. He's like, oh, my swords are vibranium too. I stole them from Wolverine. Yeah. You know, kind of thing. And you know, it was just a quick common uncommon army I put together because I don't do the tournament thing, and she was playing the box set. Yeah. You know, the X-Force box set. So
which I always love when a box set, you know, like a standard like, well, you sit down, this is what, you know, comes with the opening whatever for the game. It can roll with you know, somebody's dedicated, like, well, I put this thing, you know, again, not a tournament army, but like I had that happen with the Netrunner card game. Oh yeah. Where I bought the core set. I love the core set. There's a lot of stuff in there, and I put together what I thought was a pretty good deck, and I had some friends who were playing Netrunner tournaments, and I was like, yeah, let's sit down, let's play. You're probably gonna kick my no. Turns out the core set was good enough to, like, go, you know, punch for punch with everybody in the advanced tournament scene. I was like, this is a fun game.
You give as good as you get, and then you're happy with it.
Yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah, and sure enough, you know, that, I mean, we had fun with all that stuff, and yeah, it really felt like I was playing that game. I remember when I taught you Hero Clicks,
Yeah.
And God, was it you or Dave that picked up the Agents of Shield TV show box set?
That was Dave.
That was Dave. And I pulled out my Inhuman set. I'm like, I'm gonna go do this and all that stuff. So and oh my God, I got wiped all over the table.
I watched that game. It was
and
great.
I'm just like, oh well, yeah. Look at that. Oh yeah, Nick Fury and Coulson. Yeah, they can do a lot of stuff.
They just the power of having a set that is designed to work together with all of their own abilities, even those abilities aren't super powerful by themselves.
No.
Just having everybody on the same, like,
it's called teamwork.
Well, not just teamwork, but the same level of teamwork.
Yeah.
Where it's like, because if you have like one super powerful model and everyone else supporting them, that's still teamwork, but it's a different kind.
Yeah.
But when everyone is like, nah, nobody here is exceptional, but also nobody's a linchpin.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, who am I supposed to take out here? Well, any of them, all of them at the same time, because no matter who I take out, they'll just keep supporting the rest, and they'll all do well. It's really good.
Not that long ago, I was with Stickman, and he asked me to put him together a Spider-Man team. So I put him together a Spider-Man team because he bought some from the most new set.
Okay.
And he pulled the Spider Buggy from the Spider-Verse thing. I know you're not a comic book guy.
I'm not.
But in the 1970s, they gave Spider-Man a car because they had to sell some toys. And he got a dune buggy that could climb walls.
You do.
And Justin pulled that, the Stickman pulled that Hero Click. And he's like, but I don't have any Spider-Man. I'm like, I got a team for you. So I put him together a team with Spider-Man, and it was Spider-Man and his family. His daughter from an alternative dimension, his clone, Mary Jane, and that car.
Nice.
And I put him against some of the silly figures from Fear itself. So I put him together with the Thing from the Fantastic Four, with an Asgardian hammer, versus the Gargoyle, along with the Gargoyle, with an Asgardian hammer from Fear itself. You guys can Google the thing. But yeah. And sure enough, he's like, this really feels like a Spider-Man team, because it was stick and move, stick and move, stick and move, stick and move, run away, stick and move, stick and move. And he didn't realize that the car could climb walls.
Oh.
And I'm like, no, dude, that says the Spider Buggy ignores, improve movement, ignores elevation. Yeah. He's like, my car can climb walls. I'm like, it is the Spider-Man car, you know. And he's like, okay, this team is absolutely worth it, and it was fun.
Yeah.
So that was
Sean pointed out the word I was fumbling for was synergy.
Yes, synergy, synergy. Yeah. But yeah. So I mean that was a real thing. The other thing. So we have to move on because we're running out of time.
Right.
But the second part of what I put in the description today is. You guys see how enthusiastic and how much fun we have on all these shows.
It's true.
And with the role-playing games and the miniatures games and stuff like that. Did a show not long ago. For those of you guys that are new, again, Back in the Deck is all about taking this culture to the people that don't have access to it. I grew up poor in South Central. The closest gaming store that there was Burbank.
Yeah.
By public transportation.
Yeah, no.
And through a town where it was literally illegal for someone with this color skin to be in public after dark. Go ahead and look it up.
Yeah.
They may or may not have enforced it, but it was on the books.
Yeah.
And given that, we're working on starting a few clubs and a few clubs in parks and rec centers to show people these games, to show kids these games and role-playing games, to get their imaginations going, to help with their writing, to help with their statistical analysis, all of the serious brain meat power that we use for fun that we got better at when it wasn't homework anymore.
It's true.
And one of the places that doesn't have access to a lot of these things, that there has been a couple of studies that showed that it really helped, are prisons.
Yeah.
So, this is at bookstoprisoners.net. Now, this is big because if you guys know anybody who's ever been locked up, or if you've been locked up yourself, there is nothing to do there but read, work out, and read. Yep. And work out. So what we have here is Books to Prisoners. One of our our prime deckers, one of our main deckers, has been donating his RPGs to prisons, and these guys are hardcore. I don't care how much you think you're King Poop a Turd Mountain. Okay, you are not a hardcore gamer until you go to prison and you still manage to run games in prison. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of theater of the mind and imagination you can do, and it's like, okay, sure, you like say you do a lot of reading, you make it work. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people who make dice out of toilet paper. And, like, as you mentioned, there's been a lot of studies lately that people in prison who engage in role-playing games have a significantly lower rate of recidivism. That's going back to prison. And it's a form of rehabilitation that is extremely effective.
Absolutely.
And the prison system has not really caught on to this yet, but there's all these studies that are going, look, people who do this get better. They don't go back to prison. They turn their lives around.
Yeah.
And so what Books to Prisoners and other organizations like it are trying to do is get more books to prisoners. And that's not just any old books, but specifically books that are going to change these people's lives. I have a bunch of books, old role-playing books, that I'm just not really playing those games anymore.
Exactly.
And the thing is, from a gaming perspective for me, it's like, well, okay, I'm playing D&D 5.0 now, the new 5th edition stuff. It's great. I'm loving it. What am I doing with all my old books? Am I going to go back and am I going to play D&D 3.5? At this point, probably not.
Maybe in 20, 30 years.
Yeah, maybe.
Or in my case, I do have all that stuff. I mean, I'm going to be running a Nominate First Edition from the book I had in 1998, but I'm fortunate enough to have PDFs.
Yeah.
I have PDFs, and I need space in my apartment.
Yeah.
So
physical space.
Yeah, so we're doing a lot of that stuff. Yeah, with the stop of recidivism or the reduction of recidivism, most of these things, and you gamers know this, or you tabletop gamers know this, and for you new guys, letting you guys know the reason that we do this is community means everything.
Oh yeah,
everything. There have been hundreds of studies done that says if there is a communal environment where someone feels welcome and they feel like they're belonged, their probability of getting addicted to drugs goes way down.
Yeah.
Their rehabilitation to drugs goes way down because they have something to do other than get high.
Yeah. Same thing with crime.
Same thing with alcohol, and especially with crime. And when you're put in prison, if you have a way to start a community, especially a community that's based on thinking, problem solving, having fun, and not trying to be the big man.
Yep.
I'm thinking this through. Like when we first talked about this on one of the other shows, it was from an article I found on Vice, and I'm like, dude, this big old cholo prison guy is playing a female elf.
Yep.
And working through his issues with women in prison while playing D&D, rolling dice that were made out of toilet paper and freaking plaster from the wall. I mean, like these, like I say, you ain't hardcore until you're improvising your own D20. Not D20 system, D20.
Your literal die.
Yeah. And there were some other dudes, some other dude that actually ran a game from solitary confinement by GMing and doing the math in his head via the air vents to the other prisoners in solitary confinement. And these are things that build lifelong relationships. Yep. Like you and I became friends via me putting out a call on the War Machine board all those years ago because I was trying to film battle reports.
Yeah.
And we're friends. I know your kid, you know?
And I think you're hitting on a good point too, which is that if you're learning to play role-playing games, excuse me. If you're learning to play role-playing games in prison, that is a skill and that is a community that exists outside of prison as well. Bing. And that is something where you learn to do it in there. You learn to have fun doing it, and unlike so much of the other stuff you do in prison, it's a positive thing that exists outside as well. You can leave prison and be like, well, you know what? I really met some cool people playing a female elf, and I kind of want to keep doing that. can I keep doing this outside of prison? You sure can, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the other stuff you do in prison that you can keep doing outside of prison is not stuff that keeps you out of prison.
Or the gym.
Right.
You know, or the gym.
Yeah, but a lot of people talk about, well, people get involved in gangs in prison, and people involved in a lot of stuff in prison that once they get out, if they try to rejoin those communities, is just going to put them back there.
Yeah.
And that's
environment and community means everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love helping people turn their lives around. It's pretty cool. And so anything I can do, like donate books to to a prison system, so that, who knows, maybe my old World of Darkness books or my old D&D books that I may not be using, but for someone in prison, that book it's not like, well, they don't have the latest edition, so they don't care. They want to play something. They want to have access to something, and they'll make it work. Again, I'm not hardcore enough to play D&D with toilet paper dice, but I am definitely interested in giving books to people who will make the best out of that with whatever they have. So anyway, I am really excited by that. I'm going to go through, and like you mentioned, PDFs take up way less space. I need more space in my life, and I've got somewhere between 2 and 3 shelves of my bookshelves completely just full of D&D, or not D&D, of role-playing books I am not even using at this point, and I probably will never go back to. And a lot of them have great memories associated with them, but rather than let them collect dust just for the sake of my memories, I would much rather try to help out someone else's life and their entire future potentially with with giving books to them, specifically books that are going to be something they can build a community out of.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly. So, and that's some good stuff. If you guys are interested, check out the description below. That's www.booksforprisoners.net. It's right down in the description, directly under all of the hashtags and all that stuff. And head to the website. See what you can do on donating something. Of course, it's not just role-playing books,
right,
but books in general. They prefer softcover. Softcover is good. There are reasons. You'll see it on the site. But and this is one of the things that we can do to help build the culture and help. Well, most of the time, people end up in those terrible situations because they got nothing better to do.
Yep.
They really don't have any other options. Most of the kids in my neighborhood, we play pretend. We play pretend every once in a while.
Most kids do.
And I lived across the street from a park, so I was really lucky living across the street from the park, and we had like bleachers, so we could jump off the bleachers and do all the stuff that urban kids and rural kids both do.
Oh yeah.
But and this was before the age of computer games and all that stuff.
Of course.
But there was also a recent study that stated that kids, especially young children, need 2 to 3 hours of free play with their imagination per day.
Yeah.
Just go on, go nuts. I don't know what it is you're talking about, but you do, and just run with it. You'll learn in 3 years. I promise.
Well, it's already starting.
Yeah.
It's already starting. My daughter puts on all kinds of whatever clothes she finds, wears shoes she finds around the house, grabs things and walks around like a little people, like she's, and I'm just like, what do you? The other day she has some little heart sunglasses. She puts on these little heart sunglasses, puts on her little sandals, grabs her thing of Mega Blocks and her little portable potty, and is like walking around like she's gonna, like, oh yes, I'm a business person doing business, not wearing any pants, I would like to point out, but she was just, oh yes, this is how people are, this is what they. I'm like, all right, kid, I see you.
Yes.
Like, I see you turning into a little human.
These are people, and I am from France.
Yep.
I am from France. This is what the French are.
Yep.
And but without those things, they tend to start. I mean, without those moments, that's where criminals come from.
Yes.
Because if you don't have the time to build your imagination when you're young, you don't get used to using your imagination, and then you do whatever is available.
Yeah.
And take it from someone who grew up with a high amount of crime. Most of that crime came from a culture that didn't have a whole lot of hope because they couldn't imagine something beyond what they saw.
And we've talked about specifically role-playing games and how the cost of role-playing games is so much lower than everything else because it's a book, maybe some dice in your imagination, and you can get by with a real bare-bones set of like a book, a set of dice, and you can have 4, 5, 6 people sitting around a table with just that investment, and everyone can be transported somewhere else and use their imaginations.
Honestly, most of my games are up to 8 players out of a single book. So yes, that's 9 people rolling off dice, but when I went back to the ghetto after I went into the white man's world and found this Dungeons and Dragons and this entire world of the role-playing societies, and they looked at me and they're like, wait, you telling me that no, that ain't those ain't real dice? And they pull out the 6-siders like, these are dice. I'm like, yeah, but these are dice with 8 sides. And in that mystical land of Burbank, they have dice that have 100 numbers.
Yeah.
Ooh, gather round, children, and I will tell you about my Marco Polo-like travels. And
Marco Polo-like travels to Burbank, the far-off land.
Actually, yeah.
I know. I'm being facetious, but it is.
I mean, it really is culturally just a different planet. And these are the things that we're talking about, like these games and stuff bring everybody together. Everybody plays Monopoly.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody can play Monopoly. Everybody can play... Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to meet this Sean guy. But yeah, seriously, games can bring people together. And in a place like prison, you need friends. You need friends because... there are 100 studies done, from the Zimbardi experiment, I get choked up over this, to studies that have been published up to last year about how solitude and not being a part of a community is really detrimental. It is damaging to the human psyche. So anything that we can do to actually have physical company, not just video games, not just hanging out with us like we're doing right now, but
though it helps.
Yeah, it helps. But really, we were built to be in herds. We really are. We need to be around each other. And in prison, we are around each other, but we're not a community. We're not work together on the same thing. Yeah. Exactly.
And that's the distinction is humans are not actually herd animals, we are tribal animals. And it's an important distinction because the tribe needs to feel like they got each other's back. And it's in a different way than a herd does, where a herd just needs to feel together. The tribe needs to feel connected. And that's what games are doing, is they make you and the people you play with feel like your own little tribe.
That's right.
And you can have tribes within, you can have your kith and kin, as it were, your different layers of connectedness, and that's fine. That's how humans are designed to work. But being able to sit down with people and have that level of connectedness is so important, because that is absolutely how we are wired. And without that, whether it's prison or just in your life in general, if you don't have that close-knit level of connectedness with at least some people, like you say, there are so many studies about that isolation and how you need to have that connectedness for proper growth, for proper emotional development, for just everything about being a good person.
Good person.
Well, a good human. How's that?
Okay, yeah, that's a lot better. That's a whole lot better. So yeah, but honestly, these are all things that we deal with on a daily basis, just a regular daily basis that we don't even get. The water cooler conversation that I've heard about that happens in offices.
I don't have a water cooler, so I wouldn't know.
I don't work in offices, so but the hanging out at bars or going to coffee shops or just having your group of friends that you can see physically. It's a real thing. It is real thing. And in today's society, with you can Amazon everything you could ever want to buy. You can have your groceries delivered. And just don't leave the house. Don't leave the house.
You can interact with another human as little as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just don't look your party mates in the eyes. And but seriously, it's when you get put in an environment like prison, you're literally cut off. Well, you're in a micro world.
Yeah.
And within that micro world, you have your micro population. So if you can have a clan, a tribe, or whatever, especially when it comes to, I need something that I can connect with once I get out of here.
Yep.
To anchor me to that society now.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things, I'm going off about this because I've been doing a lot of stuff on Satanic Panic lately as well. And it's like, one of the reasons that we as gamers do this stuff is building community is so important. And most gamers, whether or not they know it, they're a community for something, not a community that's based on being against something.
Yes.
Okay, and that's huge. That's huge. It's, you know, you can think about any organization, but it's like, I'm together because I hate this, and it's sorry, here it comes. It's going to be all over the argument section if people ever leave comments once this stuff is up on YouTube. But it's what Rose said in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
We win the war not by fighting what we hate, but by saving what we love.
Yep.
That was huge. I'm like, oh my God, something deep finally came from Star Wars again. Right. It's been so long, Empire, so long.
Yeah, and that's been one of the problems. You know, that the people who object to that movie, of which there are many apparently, they don't like that something deep and profound can be based on, like, no, everybody should be loving the thing. They want to base their identity as Star Wars nerds or as whatever on hating something else. We dislike something, that's why we bond together. We dislike the way Star Wars is being handled, or we dislike this character or this whatever. What if instead you build your community around the parts of it you love? And the bad parts are going to happen. They always do. But you're not basing everything on that. That's not what it's about. And I think that's a hugely important part of building any sort of good community. And as you mentioned, that's kind of what the role-playing game thing is going to do. It's going to build an entire community based on gamers getting together to do something they love, not opposing something else.
Exactamundo. And, you know, so, yeah, again, we left a link. What happened there? What is happening?
Oh, we lost the signal.
Again.
Can't stop the signal now.
All right, yeah, there we go. But yeah, so in short, the stuff that we're really talking about is, again, right down there in the thing below. You can totally hit the link to donate your books or to find out how to donate books. Over the course of the next year, we here at Back in the Deck will actually have more resources for you guys to help on at www.backinthedeck.com, as we're building more gaming clubs in places like Compton, Watts, south side of Chicago, certain parts of the Bronx, and wherever else that we can reach.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm so tired. But yeah, that'll all be after San Diego Comic-Con at the very least.
That's next weekend, right?
It's Wednesday.
Ooh, that's right.
I leave
not a weekend
on Wednesday.
Anymore, yeah.
Oh no, it is a weekend.
Well,
it's Wednesday through Sunday.
Yeah, it's not a weekend. That's most of a week.
Yeah, and I'm taking off on Wednesday morning.
Oof.
Packing up the motorcycle and doing the 102-mile ride to San Diego.
Have fun, buddy.
To Comic-Con. It's a thing. But, you know, instead of doing all those announcements, I'm going to say thank you for showing up and for making sure that I could actually pull this off today.
And thanks to everyone in the chat. It's been a great... it's been great to have people commenting in the chat and talking to us.
Of course I'm going to thank the chat, man.
I'm thanking the chat.
Oh, you're thanking the chat.
Because I'm happy. I'm loving it. I love having people communicate with us here so that we can riff off what they're doing.
Oh, yeah. We're getting there. Yeah. And, of course, you know I'm going to be coaching you on how to do that a little more smoothly.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously, because, you know, you're coming along really great. I remember when I first got you starting on the podcast, and I'm just like, stop. just stop.
Yeah, it happens
just
a few
times. Just be yourself. Stop going over this. I know you're you want some whiskey? You want some whiskey? I can pour some whiskey for you right there. There you go. Just loosen up. Loosen up. That's the thing.
I could be putting a lot more than coffee in this cup.
But yeah, but I definitely, so I want to thank you for showing up. Hey, chat, thank you guys out there. Thanks to a lot of the people that have been in it. Come on back next week, of course.
Well, not next week.
Oh yeah, that's right, because we're not the only shows that we're doing this week, at least from here in the Wizards Tower, we're doing Buster Recap. We might do Coffee and Conversation on Tuesday, but then it'll be nothing but live casting from San Diego Comic-Con. Just all, San Diego Comic-Con all weekend. We got some stuff with a few game testers, a lot of product champions. We're going to be talking to some booth owners, a lot of store owners, and anywhere that comes around. And if you guys want us to head down to Hall H, no. No.
What is Hall H?
Hall H is where Hall H is essentially stand in line for a day and a half to go see the preview for the next Marvel movie.
Gotcha.
And we're not doing that. We're not doing that because anything that shows up in Hall H, it's going to be on YouTube in 40 seconds after.
It's true.
It's covered.
It's true.
I don't want to stand in line for a day and a half to see something that, to see something in good quality and hear the talk that goes along with it, when I could be talking to more deckers that don't know they're deckers yet.
Yeah.
Or when I could be talking to game creators and store owners and independent comic writers. That's what we're talking about. And they love us in the chat.
Yeah.
Isn't that fun? But yeah, so if you guys have any requests on who you guys might want us to talk to or who you might want us to see an interview with, because DW is going to be down there with me. So it's going to be DW and I doing both ends of San Diego, because Comic-Con pretty much takes the whole city now.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
And so it's going to be a lot of area to cover on 2 feet, which is cool, because you don't necessarily have to buy a ticket to Comic-Con now. You can drive down to San Diego and have sort of a Comic-Con experience and drive home.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hear the outside of Comic-Con party that they do in the surrounding town is still quite enjoyable.
As I said, the city,
yeah.
Not just the Gaslamp district, but 4 or 5 other districts around San Diego. So now the convention is where you're going to see all the famous people. That's where it's guaranteed.
Yeah.
But the rest, the Comic-Con that we all remember, has kind of been displaced, like gentrification, to the surrounding areas. And we're going to be on both for 4 days. So we're going to be covering a lot of ground, thus taking the motorcycle. Yeah, and I don't have a panel there yet. I know. I thought I was going to be on a panel this year. Fortunately, they filled it, which was great. But I'll have some footage of that, talking about creativity and mental health.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It is. And I'm going to have someone record it, and we're going to be doing an interview with the guy that, with Leo Partible, who's on there. You won't know him from any works, but he's been on a few. He's on the website. He's a serious decker. And but he's a behind the scenes guy. So he's been a behind the scenes guy in the entertainment industry for 25, 30 years. So I'm definitely getting 5 minutes with him just to say, hey, yeah, what's up, man, all that stuff. And yeah, we're going to be talking about mental health and creativity, because most people who are creative, and you guys are going to be relieved in this, the more creative you are, the more apt you are to have things like ADD and bipolar disorder, or in my case, 24-karat manic depression, and Donald Glover, eat his heart, take his power, he is probably one of the most depressed people on the face of the earth. So, but, there's a whole lot of stuff there. But if you guys got anything to say to us on those levels, then I want you guys to feel free to talk to us at this is stupid. Hit us up at backinthedeck@gmail.com. You can also thank you guys for following us on the YouTube.
Nope, we gotta
it's doing the thing. Curses, curse everything. Curse it all. Again,
we are having the technical difficulties up the wazoo this
show.
For
now. But again, the time will come.
Oh, yeah.
The time will come where we have all of the proper equipment. So, again, for you guys down there, yeah, just check us out in at the GoFundMe. You know, we're trying to get up to $1,500. But as I was saying, even if we do miss out on the music, hit us up at gmail at backinthedeck@gmail.com. Also, you can find us on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the little bell over there at YouTube/BidP. Thank you guys for showing up, and you guys can be here as part of the chat thing right there. And you can also hit us up, ladies and gentlemen, at back in the deck at Twitter. You can follow our Twitter, but you know, our Twitter stuff, we give all of our announcements and all that jazz. Hit us up also on the Instagram at Back in the Deck, and on the Facebook you can join us at Deckers on the Book on Facebook. If you guys want to get a hold of me properly, just join Deckers on the Book. You can always get a hold of me there. And Mr. T, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, I'm Dig Duggernaut on Twitter, and I believe on Instagram and Twitch and all that. And I'm also on Deckers on the Book, so look me up there. I'm often posting miniatures stuff or whatever project I have going on, so happy to answer questions and engage with people and talk about nerdy stuff.
Awesome and blossom. And by my rod and staff, I'm telling you, this stuff is going to be a thing. But for those of you guys that really want to join us, again, join us, bring a friend, talk to us in the chat, all that jazz. As soon as I get back from Comic-Con, I'm going to sleep for 2.5 days. Kidding. I'm going to be like broadcasting that Monday when I get back for Buster Recap.
Yeah.
And also, we are going to be talking with a lot more cosplayers and getting a lot more Skype conversations in with some of our deckers across the planet and across the country.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, again, I'm tired for a reason.
Yes.
Magic costs a lot, and I don't do the dark stuff anymore. And there's only so many plants you can be like, need more energy. Oh, damn it, just give me a monster. You know. Yeah, so with that, I'm going to say, if anybody tells you guys that you can't like what you like or have the hobbies you like because of the circumstances of your birth, be it your race, religion, creed, gender identity, whether or not you're physically or even emotionally disabled in some way, or if you're just poor and you can't get out to that stuff, you tell them to take all those cards and put it back in the deck. This is Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, saying thank you guys for coming out today. Thank you for coming out today, Mr. Dig Duggernaut.
That's me. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and so with that, I'm going to say we will see you guys next week on Well, you'll see me tomorrow on Buster Recap with the Henchmen, but we will see you guys next week, or week after next, week after next, on our next episode of The Game Gallery.